Standing rules of order are written agreements describing how the conference is organized. They're called standing rules because they become permanent for the duration of the conference. It is possible to suspend the rules during a conference, in which case the standing rules would be set aside. Then, when the conference resumes, the standing rules are again in effect. The World Service Conference Committee includes a proposed set of standing rules in the conference agenda report, the CAR. Those are just a suggestion. It is up to the voting members of the World Service Conference to review those rules and either adopt them as they are or propose and vote on amendments to the rules. It takes a simple majority to amend and adopt the rules when the conference begins. Once adopted, however, it takes a 2/3 majority to change the rules. Standing rule number 1 describes who has the authority to vote and/or speak during the World Service Conference. This rule gives each region one voice and one vote that can be expressed by either the delegate or the alternate delegate. The chair of the World Service Board also has both a vote and a voice. The board chair can give their vote to the vice chair of the board. All members of the World Service Board have a right to speak. They have voice. World Service committees and the World Service Office Executive Director have a right to speak on topics that are relevant to their duties. Additionally, regions that do not have an elected delegate can send a person to represent their region. Region representatives can speak but have no vote. The process of determining who can speak and who can vote is coordinated by the conference facilitator.
Standing Rule 2 states that a member can only speak once on a motion unless all other members who desire to speak have exercised their opportunity. It also specifies that a region's delegate and alternate delegate are considered to be the same member when speaking on a motion.
Standing Rule of Order number 3. On debate, speaker time limits. Standing Rule of Order number 3 governs time limits for each speaker during debate on a motion. This rule sets a time limit of 3 minutes maximum each time a member is recognized by the facilitator to speak on a motion. Many of you are familiar with time limits for sharing during larger meetings. This time limit is similar. The conference facilitator may extend the time limit so the speakers may speak longer when the facilitator's opinion is that a time extension is warranted. In any other circumstance, a floor motion to extend the time must be adopted.
Standing Rule of Order number 4. Debate limited to 3 speakers on each side of any motion. Unlike ordinary discussion, where all interested speakers are heard before Nar-Anon reaches a group conscience decision, debate on motions is quite limited. SRO number 4 limits debate. Ordinarily, no more than 3 members may speak in favor of, pro, and no more than 3 members may speak in opposition to, con, any motion before a vote is called. Debate may be extended when a floor motion to extend debate is made and adopted before the vote on the motion is called by the facilitator.
Standing Rule of Order number 5, making motions. Standing Rule of Order number 5. There are 3 parts to this longer SRO 5 on motion making. First, motions made during the WSC are named motions from the floor or floor motions. To distinguish them from CAR motions, those submitted in advance of the conference and circulated to the groups in the conference agenda report, CAR. Like CAR motions, floor motions must be in writing on a WSC motion form and include the identity by name of region, committee or board of the members proposing and seconding the motion. Two different bodies join in making a motion as a regent's delegate and alternate delegate are considered to be the same member. It is the regent or World Service Committee who is making or seconding motions through a personal representative. Motions presented by the World Service Board do not require a second. Second, Standing Rule of Order number 5 also guides us to word motions in the positive to provide clarity on the effect of the motion. A motion is to be clear, concise, comprehensive, and have its intent visibly reflected in the wording of the motion itself. At the conference, only the actual wording of the motion is read. The maker's intent explaining the effects of the motion included in the written motion form is not read aloud. Third, floor motions must be submitted via email before the facilitator will recognize the maker. All motions are displayed in writing before debate or voting. After a motion is made and seconded, the facilitator restates the motion, reading it aloud clearly to the conference. The motion is now pending and before the conference. Before this moment on the agenda, the motion belongs to the maker and the seconder, who can withdraw it or allow it to be heard and decided. It is only at this point that the motion has been moved, seconded, and read that ownership shifts. The motion now belongs to the conference, who must dispose of it in some manner. Adoption, rejection, amendment, or continuance. Since the failure of the motion to make proposed change to policy or guidelines bars a repeat motion for two conferences, this rule is used before or during the conference before it's pending to withdraw a motion when the maker estimates it will not pass, saving the policy debate for the next conference.
Standing Rule of Order number 6, amending motions. All proposed amendments to a main motion must be in writing on a World Service Conference motion form. Since motions are made and seconded by regions, World Service committees, or board, the names and positions of members proposing and seconding the amendments are listed on behalf of their region or committee or the board. A region's delegate and alternate delegate cannot move and second on an amendment, as they are considered to be the same member when making and seconding amendments. Seconding a motion does not necessarily mean that a member is in favor of that motion. A second merely indicates that another member wishes the motion be heard and decided by the conference. Amendments from the World Service Board do not require a second. Submit amendments via email. Then the facilitator will recognize the maker. All amendments are displayed in writing and read aloud to the conference before debate or voting.
Standing Rules of Order number 7, debating motions. Debate follows the presentation of a motion if the motion or its amendment is debatable. In other words, if the motion or its amendment has not been ruled out of order. Debate addresses the content of the main motion or the amendment, not the member making the motion. Motives are not questioned. Members address the facilitator and do not speak directly to each other. The facilitator addresses members by representative name, such as delegate from Central California region. Discussion and debate are not between two members, but through the facilitator.
Standing Rule of Order number 8, voting on motions. When ready, the conference votes to adopt, carry, or not adopt, reject the motion or its amendment. This is also known as the facilitator putting the question. Voting is by raising virtual hands. All in favor of the item are asked by the facilitator to have their camera open, raise a virtual hand, and keep it raised until a count of the vote is finalized. When more than 50% of the total number of voters present at the most recent roll call, or 2/3 for votes that require a 2/3 majority to pass, the negative opposition vote is not taken or recorded. In all other cases, the negative vote is taken as is the total counts for both affirmative and negative, and showing the total required for passage are included in the minutes showing whether the motion passed. Abstentions are not included in the count of total votes cast nor asked for unless a member is abstaining for the reason of conflict of interest. When the negative votes are counted, the percentage required to pass is recalculated based on the total number of positive and negative votes cast.
Standing Rule of Order number 9. Abstaining is not counted in the total of a motion passage. A simple majority is a vote of more than 1/2 of the votes cast. Not voting yes or no is simply called an abstention. Such votes are not included in the determination of the total votes cast and do not determine whether or not a required number of votes in favor of the motion have been cast. For example, if 22 voting representatives are present and 2 abstain, the total vote is 20. Therefore, 11 votes, which is over 50% of a simple majority, are required for passage or rejection of a motion. If no one abstains, the count would be 22, and 12 votes would be a simple majority that would be required to pass or fail a motion.
Standing Rule of Order number 10. 2/3 required for policy and guidelines motions. 2/3 of the votes cast are required to make or amend each motion on policies and guidelines. Abstentions are not included in the total of votes cast.